this shit up. Here we are at the Oxford Sports Pub and Secret Society. Your host, David Washington, our co-host, Joel Hoxley, our esteemed producer who doesn't ever get enough credit, John, who anybody have any extra work, we will definitely take it for all of
do we really want the extra work?
we just got nothing on our plate, David. So
Yeah. So much on our plate. Much on our plate.
So which one do you want to highlight? You want to highlight I want to talk about I would love to talk about Leadership Academy, because I think that will play right in to what we're talking about today.
Oh, yes. Let's hear it.
So Leadership Academy, we're putting it together, and it is going to actually teach, explain, and be actively involved, so you know exactly what happens when you're in a campaign. We're going to talk about the way we analyze things, why we don't spend money on this and we do spend money on this.
Right.
We're going to talk about what is your target audience, and are you talking to your target audience? Because a lot of people just don't get it. So again, this will be like the Michael Stewart, who worked very hard, did the right things, but again, this was a brand new eye-opening experience because
Correct.
He didn't expect it. And then you have Rishi, who does go through Rishi Baga, who goes through an academy and comes out and says, "Whew, not even close."
Not even close. That's true.
But the academy is not. I'm not saying their academies are bad.
I'm
just saying that ours is better,
much better,
because we're going to go into detail, and we are going to bring professionals in that actually will teach you how to talk to the media, how to do these things. And hey, when do you say no to your consultant? Because there is a time, but there's also that time when you're trying to tell your consultant something that they know is a failure.
Mm-hmm.
But you heard that really, there's good sales pitches out there. Listen, if I can tell you I can get you 7,000 votes, you want 7,000 votes, you'll give up $7,000, and then you find out that, did I really get my money out of that?
Right. How many times have you found yourself hearing one of those pitches, hearing your client come to you and say, "Oh, we need to do this, this Politico or this consultant or this elected said I should be doing this."
Oh, you got to do a robocall. And, a robocall can only go to a house phone. Let me ask you a question. How many people even know what a house phone is? A landline.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. We need to be reaching this person and that person and this, and say, have you looked at the strategy lately that we've discussed from day one, and why this particular target is not appropriate for this particular race and message?
So David, you and I are running against each other, and we're in the same party.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a couple of differences from you
mm-hmm.
that I think are very important. So I'm going to try to talk about my economic plan, because my economic plan will be totally different
mm-hmm.
than yours.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else we probably the same, because there's a umbrella. If I'm running as a Democrat, you're going to automatically think this is off the table. Abortion's off the table. We already agree. This is Black Lives Matter off the table. We probably agree. Reforming the police, whatever is the bulk of our party.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I know that some of those things that everybody doesn't agree, but we don't have to go into them.
Right. And there are some things that, for instance, looking at the current legislation that is going through the Florida legislature, and I can say, wow, yeah, I'm on board with, that particular, legislation addressing transparency and accountability and the integrity of the vote. I get that. I'm on board with that. And then there are some things that are just like, whoa, that's going too far, regardless of the party. And I've seen some stuff out of Texas that's just blown my mind. That's Texas.
That's a whole different story. But you're talking. You just brought up in my mind that
mm-hmm.
I've never been forced to have to go to a public place to make me have to vote. How you put it? That legislation that you had 70-50 that you want to talk
Right, that
about
we
later.
talked about. Right,
Yeah,
right.
you want to talk about that later. It's
Okay.
if you register in the state of Florida, your first time voting, you must vote in person.
Yes, I saw that. It's
I was,
like,
I'm going.
Hey, but
I
then
didn't
Joel,
know if I wanted to laugh. I didn't know if I wanted to cry.
but then Joel, I sat back and let my rational mind think, my logical mind think, put aside the feelings, and I said, I can understand why that provision was included
Oh,
in the
I
legislation.
like it and I don't like it. I look.
Right.
I don't want somebody telling me what to do, but I think that the experience,
Yes.
for me, what buys me in is
Mhm.
I can tell my constituents if I had them, I would say, listen, I just want the voter to have the experience at least once. They can mail vote all they want to
Right.
after that, but that feeling of going into a poll, the person volunteering that's sitting there trying to make sure that
Yes.
they're not partisan, they're trying to make sure that they're doing the right job. That is civic 101, and I think that I could explain. But when I first read it, I'm going, no, what the hell? The Republicans doing this time? But no, it made sense.
It did make sense, and
But it's
putting the feelings aside, I said yes.
It's voter suppression, you know that.
It makes sense
Because I know that's what I know that's what your side will end up saying.
They probably will.
It'll be voter suppression. You can force them to come out, but there are, if you're disabled, if you have certain things, you don't have to do it.
Right. It's the thought of that going in that first time, that experience. I remember my first experience voting, going into the polling place, and standing in line, going up to the ballot box, or but that's later. But going into the little you guys
had the
booth
booths
to vote, and that was, I'm dating myself. I had to use the
punch card.
I
had punch cards,
and it's just handing my ballot over, and like it was just like,
see, David, you cannot date yourself. You cannot date yourself with punch cards, because we had punch cards in Florida in 2000.
Good point. We had them in Chicago. I remember going with my dad, and standing inside.
Oh, nothing better.
Booth,
standing
the curtain,
there,
and
through the curtain.
They're just so cool. I would love one of those, old-fashioned election.
Oh, did you? I mean, in New York, I think they still have them, the big machines that you can vote all down one ballot. It's incredible.
So speaking of elections, we have an election coming up in 2023, November, for the city of Orlando. We have the mayor, who is running for re-election again. He's going into his 20th year. So if he wins this time around, it'll be 24 years.
Does he have one opponent so far?
He has several opponents.
Oh, really? I know he had one that was like almost 2 years ago, like 3 years ago.
The most well-known of his opponents right now is former city commissioner, Sam Ings. He's running again. And I bring this up because recently, Ryan Gillespie of the Orlando Sentinel wrote an article where the mayor appeared with Congressman Maxwell Frost to announce a bill that will create a federal gun violence office.
Yes.
The title of that article, and this was in the April 10th edition of the Orlando Sentinel, Maxwell Frost garners Orlando mayor's support for his bill to create federal gun violence office. And this struck me, and this was on the heels of what was happening in Tennessee. I think this was before or right around the time what had happened in Kentucky. But there are shootings every day, and there were shootings.
David, there were 2 shootings in Orlando when they were making the announcement.
Yes. And so I read the article, and what frustrated me was that this bill is creating another layer of bureaucracy to do what? And this is what the article said. The bill marks Frost's first since winning election last year and could centralize the government's response to gun violence into one office in the Department of Justice. Now, that response is spread across several offices and agencies. He said he envisions it reporting data and offering policy recommendations to Congress and the president. Envisions it reporting data and offering policy recommendations to Congress and the president.
Okay, so David, I'm going to jump in just for a second because
because I'm
you're-
ready to
you're gonna
into this
take-
right now.
So we thought that the Department of Education was going to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Department of Education said, if you want money,
Mm-hmm.
you have to do X. If you want money, you have to do Y.
Mhm.
So that's just another layer of bureaucracy that says, hey, we're going to put this in place. Then we're going to take and we're going to try to hold the states accountable by keeping money back so we can take care of those southern states that want all the guns on the hips and stuff. So this is just a way around the Constitution.
And if it is, we'll see. And hopefully this doesn't go anywhere because, yes, there are several agencies, the DEA, the ATF, blah, 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 blah.
Wait.
Local,
say that
local
again.
to federal. There are different agencies that address this matter. Gun control, gun violence is probably one of the most researched issues here in America. And doesn't the president get the presidential daily brief every day that will tell him what some of the most pressing issues are facing America that happens?
So
And so I'm sure the president is notified of gun violence of on a mass scale, happening in a particular state or whatever. I'm sure the Congress people find out. I mean, the speed of information getting to people through social media alone, that what drives me crazy. But then I did a little bit more research into this. And, God love Congressman Frost for, thinking of something that may, get some legs in Congress. God bless his heart. However, adding another layer of bureaucracy is not what we need. The information is out there. And so I did a little Google search on just gun violence in America. And I'm like, what the did I just see here? There's a report that I shared, with us from the the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the People's Republic of China. They did a report. It's right there on the internet for everyone to see. And it states, I'm not going to read all of this, but the first sentence that popped to my attention is that it says how the U.S. political system is designed and operates constitutes the root cause of ineffective gun control. That popped out to me. The root cause of ineffective gun control in America. It's a political system.
It's ineffective because we have a constitution that, I talk about these things in my morning constitution. You do have the First Amendment. You do have the Second Amendment. You do have, the Third Amendment, Fourth, Fifth, Sixth, Seventh, Eighth. But each amendment has its restrictions because there are certain things, there's certain powers that the states have that the states don't effectively implement.
Right.
So as a state, it says the federal government can't do gun control in a sense, right? So it says the federal government is restricted from taking your right to bear arms. It doesn't say that the state can't regulate those arms.
Correct.
So this is like tomato, potato. It doesn't matter how you say it. There's a place to work on it. Frost's intelligence is he is going around the system by creating a new bureaucracy. Maybe this bureaucracy can enforce, like I said.
I don't think that's what he's saying right now. I think what he's saying, what he's saying, and what information I have is that they would just look at the issue and report policy recommendations.
But
I
that's
mean, the
not,
CDC can do that, and they don't.
well, you remember,
there's private organizations, non-for-profits, even states report a lot of this information.
What you said was very important at the beginning when you said that it's the most researched thing,
one of the most researched policies here in
but
America. The Chinese are doing
but it was Stephanie Murphy that came in, and she worked on trying to take the federal government didn't put any effort into researching it because it didn't fall into any specific category. So Stephanie Murphy comes along and she says, we're going to allow the federal government to research it.
Correct.
So now that it's allowed to be researched, now you're going to allow a federal government entity to do that research when you have
all these
listen, you have Homeland Security.
Thank
you have the FBI. You have the CIA.
the DEA,
you have the
FBI,
DEA.
CDC.
If it has to do with firearms, it's probably somebody.
American Medical Association.
I mean, I'm just sitting here going.
And this what drives me fucking crazy is that, okay, Frost is there. He's running for re-election soon. Mayor Buddy Dyer's there. He's running for re-election now. And we got this nice photo opportunity. What drives me crazy is these blue ribbon committees that are put together to do nothing. These offices that are put together to do nothing. Another layer of scholarly writing.
But you get to say,
do nothing.
At the end of the
more
day,
people die.
At the end of the day, he was elected because he was the gun guy, right?
Was he really?
He was. That's how he got his fame and fortune, as we say it, right? He's going to be the. I've suffered gun violence a block away, but
right.
I mean, listen. I'm upset that he didn't hire me. So just joking. No, honestly, this is what he thinks that his constituents want to hear, that he's actually doing something. But he can't get this passed. He doesn't have the votes right now. I don't see him getting the votes because the Republicans are in charge. He has the House, the Senate, but without the House, you can't get anything done. So this is just smoke and mirrors for right now. It'll die at the end of the year. But he will have convinced the people to keep him in office another, 2 years because
he's doing something.
Just like Anna Eskamani.
I just want real. I mean, I can't remember, even though I was so aware of his campaign and the other candidates in this race, so aware of what was going on there. I can't really say what it was about him that made him a better candidate than the other candidates. Thank you, money. And say, where's the hope and change? Where's the energy? Where
I'm a Gen Z. I'll be the first Gen Z elected. Hey, you got to vote for me.
The novelty has worn off for me. I want to know that people's hair are on fire about particular issues like gun violence. I want to know that when I walk outside my home on June 1st, that I'm going to be safe. I want to know that I can drive to wherever I need to go and I'm going to be safe. My loved ones here in Florida are going to be safe. I'm going to be hiding behind you and John.
Well,
because you guys know the rules and the laws and about gun safety and the Second Amendment. But this does not alleviate any of the concern that I have at my freaking kitchen table about the fear of gun violence.
So yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before? Whenever Carlos Guillermo Smith does something, I get a telephone call. I just always do. You can guarantee I'm getting a telephone call from an individual, a professional teacher, getting ready for retirement soon, and never seen it this bad. So I have to make my joke with him, in a lightheartedness. I said, hey, if I had to go to school in Tennessee and I didn't know which teachers had a gun and which ones didn't, I think I'd be very well behaved. It's a joke in a way, but it is true that not knowing is what they're trying to play off of by putting this in place. Does it make it more dangerous? Yes. Risk versus reward, they'll find out later. But it's, we have to start taking these departments and saying which ones do overlap. If you have the Food and Drug Administration, you have the FDA. So, I mean, you have DEA, and you have where are the this is why we came up with Homeland Security, which was we're supposed to organize this, but we haven't gotten rid of anything or consolidated anything. We've just made it even bigger.
Right.
So thank you, Republicans. I'll take charge on that
Sure.
one. I mean, TSA.
Yes, sir.
It's just like John Micah. I idolize him in so many ways,
yes.
but Representative John Micah, he can be said that he created the TSA.
Ooh.
But it was not the TSA he wanted. He didn't want it to be a government bureaucracy.
Thank you.
He wanted it to be a private industry, a one course for everybody to go through that wants to do it, but private contracts with each one of the. So just a standard, like a standardized test. Everybody does the same thing.
Okay.
But you're owned by a different company. You're getting paid differently because you live in different areas.
The best intentions.
We have to make it a government program. And now you got John Micah voting against it because it's like, this is not what I expected.
The best intentions.
But you know how we can tell is because you look at Stanford. Stanford has had very little trouble getting into the airport, getting out of the airport. They have private security because they were part of the program of some of the places they got to opt out and get tested. So they have never had TSA over there.
Okay.
When you go over there, you will see how Congressman Micah envisioned it. So there's a whole bunch of stuff.
I'm going to try going out of Stanford.
Yeah,
Stanford.
You just, these are different things that people don't know. I mean, I know it because I happen to really love these transportation guys, and I hate transportation.
Sure. What people need to do is they need to get involved. They need to be aware of what's going on and the purpose behind this type of proposal or any other legislation that's coming out of their county commission, their
but hold their feet
city council or whatever.
Hold his feet to the fire. Who you say did that article again?
This was Ryan Gillespie.
Okay, so Ryan Gillespie probably asked did he ask what he saw it to be? Did he ask how much it was going to cost? Did he ask the real questions that should have been asked? No, he gave a fluff story to a fluff candidate because he wanted to.
I think he just kind of reported on it. I mean, it was at this.
It's Holy Week. I mean, nobody's paying attention anyway.
Yeah, it's news.
That's why you want to tell everybody. I like Carlos Guillermo Smith. I really like him. He's a nice guy.
Is he sponsoring us?
But he's so stupid sometimes. Like, I'm not going to help him out. So he made an announcement during Holy Week that I want to know if anybody even realizes it happened. Because hey, I can get the congressman.
He may be a client of ours in the future. We never know.
You never know.
However, I would have made that announcement at a different time.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's because he wanted Frost to be there, but
right, sure.
The congressman will be here. If the congressman's doing what he's supposed to, he should be here. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Anyways, but this week he just happened to have the whole week. So enough of that. But you can't make this shit up. I mean, we have things going on, people making announcements at weird times. I'm
There's a time and place for all that. That's why we're here doing what we do. And wow, I want our government at every level to be more effective. And adding layers and layers of bureaucracy is not effective to me. Again, I want to know that, and at the local level is more important.
Mhm.
I want to know that decisions that are being made are those decisions that affect my kitchen table issues.
that your girlfriend is not, getting hives from the water. You
Yep.
know that they're not got a valve that's pouring toxic waste into the to the little lake and killing all the fish.
Right. Why is it the lake that I live on? There's an advisory not to fish from, not to swim in, not to have my dog swim in. That's been extended by the city of Orlando. I want to know why. I can't keep my balcony doors open because of the air quality. Those are the issues that matter, and I don't see those issues being addressed the way they should be.
No, we would rather play. We would rather. Okay, I'm going to use the word. Everybody's using it now. Even Donald Trump. Politics. Everybody wants to use politics. Everybody wants to do. Everything has politics to it. You can't go to church. You can't go to church and not have politics. You can't go to a business and have the politics. The politics between you and me. Just running a business. It's like we have to. It's all politics. We got to do what we need to do. But at the end of the day, make it make sense.
Right. Thank you.
How much is this going to cost? That's the question that should have been asked. Mm-hmm. And I don't see that in the article that you shared with me.
How it's going to keep me any safer than the information that I was able to pull up from the Foreign Ministry of the People's Republic of China. How much different that's going to be.
But, on an important note, the LGBTQ plus community has now it gave all the gay people in the entire world, and trans, that this is not a safe place. Florida is not a safe place to go, so don't vacation here. And the NAACP has also said
travel advisory.
Your travel advisory. So we have these travel advisories because Florida's not safe.
My mom called me. We had a long conversation last week, and being the political that she is, oh boy, I'm surprised she didn't send people down to physically remove me from Florida and bring me back to Illinois.
It's not safe, David.
I go walking 3 miles every other day where I live, and she was saying, David, you may want to reconsider that. And
David, you live in
I never had this conversation living in Chicago.
You live in one of the safest places in Orlando. No, in Orlando, you live in a very. Listen, if I lived in Orlando, if I lived in Orange County, you're in the perfect place because the layout, everything, and your neighbors, they're all pretty respectful because
that's good to know.
That's a neighborhood I mean, you even change the dog park's name just because the son, was a pedophile. I mean, you guys don't mess around in Baldwin Park.
Can I hire you and John as security? Because that, again, this is a concern. This is one of my kitchen table issues. So, but speaking of kitchen table issues, hey, I do every Monday I do countertop politics and 5 minutes of content specifically about running for office, what the secret sauce is in a way, but giving you little chunks of information to let you know as a potential candidate or elected candidate or someone who's just curious about what goes on behind the scenes of campaign management, what really goes on, and how to be a better candidate for your community.
Just don't give it all away.
Not all of it. No, just little bits. But every Monday, 5 minutes of content, and it's called Countertop Politics. So
awesome! I can't wait. Can't wait to see them, more of them, and welcome to the Illuminati.
Illuminati.
Have a great day. We're broadcasting Jay in Washington's "You Can't Make This Shit Up" from the Oxford in Altamont Springs.